Thank you. So, InteliCare, we turn any home into a smart home by installing a range of sensors into that household. We upload that data to an IoT platform, our bit of the secret sauce, and we then use our AI engine to learn what's normal behaviour in that home, such as when people are going to the bathroom, when they're up and about, preparing meals and having visitors. And we send alerts out to families and caregivers using AI when something's out of the ordinary. By doing that, we allow people with disability to live independently, or the elderly to live at home for longer and avoid the costs of aged care. We're an AI solution. This time last year, when I presented at TechKnow, we were still to list, and since that time we've gone through two seed rounds and listing at the height of the COVID crisis. And we're addressing the macro forces that are being unleashed by an ageing population. And since COVID, I think we're seeing that coming more to the fore. In fact, I think we're seeing technology adoption being accelerated by 2 to 5 years in the aged care sector. Nevertheless, we're fully commercialised and had a successful listing only 3 weeks after the market crashed, which was quite a journey, I can tell you that. Very pleased to announce, don't believe me regarding our tech, we recently took out 3 national awards at the very prestigious iAwards. We were the state winner, then went on nationally to win both our categories, as well as the overall category winner across a range of very significant competition, 40 different technology companies. And we've also been picked by Deloitte as one of the Technology Fast 50. But getting down to the investment highlights, we have a proprietary IoT platform. That's the secret sauce. It's the notifications themselves that we send out, describes our product. Very strong market trends. We saw that post-IPO with investment in the healthcare sector, but those macro forces from the ageing population will continue to propel our technology forward. We have a very experienced and well-credentialed management team. It really comes down to your faith in the ability to execute on this product as underlying the investment performance. This growth we've experienced over the last 12 months has been phenomenal, as it is for most people in the startup world. When I came on board this time last year, we had 25 units in the field. We've now got nearly 300 and another 50 further under contract. Our revenue and our cash receipts have increased significantly from admittedly a low base, but it nevertheless demonstrates that with a bit of money under our belt, we're really able to commercialise the product further. The problem itself, when I talk about aged care, people think about nursing homes, but the whole of the aged care sector is in fact much larger. There are about 200,000 people in nursing homes, but there's over 1 million people who are receiving some form of home care support, and that's our primary target market. On top of that, there's about 3 to 5 million people who don't receive that support and will DIY their aged care. In a similar way that we saw where at the advent of the pension, the baby boomer influx put pressure on that and we had to go to DIY superannuation. So unfortunately, with this crisis in aged care being precipitated by that macro force and then reinforced by COVID, the natural tendency is people to want to age in place in their own home, but the only technology available to them are duress devices, pendants and systems and buttons that you push around your neck. Those devices don't really do much itself, and I'll go on and talk about that shortly. But the financial pressure facing the aged care sector is phenomenal. Only 51% of those nursing homes make a profit. Most are going out the door backwards. And similarly, if you're providing home care service support, your EBITDA per client per day is decreasing significantly. The traditional response to that is to ask the government for more money to solve for that crisis. And recently the Morrison government threw $500 million at the problem to buy more home care packages. It bought 16,000. There's 120,000 people on the waiting list. More people are dying waiting for those home care packages than are receiving them each day. So they choose to live in their own home. And as I said, they don't have a technology to turn to. Those duress devices, 80% of them aren't used during a fall. So during a fall, most people don't have their device on them. If they have it on them, it's not charged. But even in 30% of those falls, they didn't press it anyway because they don't want to tell their family they've got a problem and they fear entering residential care. So what we do is we use primarily passive sensors, motion sensors, door sensors, power sensors. You can see the range out the front if you come out to our stall. And using those sensors, we can learn what's normal behaviour in that home over the period of about a week using AI. Nevertheless, we're an open architecture IoT platform. That means we can take advantage of emerging sensor technologies that comes onto the market. We don't manufacture the sensors, nor do we wish to. We want to take advantage of the best and brightest in the field. And then once that behaviour is learned, you receive an alert or notification to your phone that everything's okay in mum or dad's house. So you don't need to ring them up each day and check on their welfare. You don't need to go into the app to find out what's going on. You get a push notification to your mobile phone. If you are a care organisation, you also have access to a dashboard, and this allows those care organisations to look after multiple clients at once and therefore increase their productivity and address the needs of the growing aged care sector, which are also being coupled with a decline in the services and the staff required to service that sector. But it's more about not just connecting the family and detecting those incidents. It's ultimately about prevention. So the idea here is that through our insights, you're able to identify those likely trigger events that will cause someone to lose their independence and end up in residential care and consequently do something about it. It's the old adage, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. The insights themselves, that's our product, and it's powered by AI. So we look at not only the daily update, but we look at social isolation. People who are socially isolated are 30% more likely to have a fall. Failure to get out of bed, so it's a safety net. If there is a fall during the night, when people don't have their pendant or alert device on them and they fall, they can lie on the floor for days on end. We also provide meals alerts. So if they're becoming malnourished and not preparing meals regularly, that also increases their likelihood of a fall. But things like bathroom visits are very interesting. So for example, if you have an increase in bathroom visits, we often see that pointing to a urinary tract infection. And UTIs lead to delirium, one of the top causes of falls. Just getting up to go to the bathroom more each night, once a night, increases your chance of a fall by 50%. If you do it 2 or more times, it doubles. So we do more than just address those detection of events. We encompass complete wellness and allow someone to get ahead of the game. We surface the data through InteliCare Pro on the left. That's our B2B product. As I said, it triages the clients, so people can look after multiple clients at once. It's a scalable and customisable solution. So most importantly, because we aren't limited by the sensors that some manufacturers produce and then market as an aged care sensor, we can customise those solutions for our customers depending on their particular needs. So for example, we recently incorporated a radar sensor that goes on the ceiling and can detect heartbeat and respirations for the Department of Communities. The family themselves, the individual carers, get an app on their mobile phone on which they can check in each day, or for a carer prior to going into a household to provide their welfare check, they can see how that person's going. In particular, for example, if they have a mental health issue for people with disability, that carer can see how that person's been performing and de-risk their operations. The value propositions are multiple. For governments, it's really about providing a COVID-19 remote health and telehealth system combined. So telehealth has been very, very dominant in the marketplace. The government recently announced they're continuing to fund it through Medicare, but it's only one part of the solution. If you have looked for someone's diagnosis via telehealth because you can't treat them in person, you also need to have a remote monitoring solution to be able to monitor the efficacy of that treatment. For the elderly and disability care organisations, it's really about increasing their productivity, reducing their risk, but most importantly, allowing them to provide higher care models to those in need. Hospitals, we've modelled it in terms of preventing rehospitalisation, that over an 8-month period, if you deployed these in bulk, it would pay for itself. Simply by reducing hospitalisations for the over 65 by 5%. In general, the figure is that 25% of those over 65 get rehospitalised after an initial visit. If you reduce that 25% just by 5%, it pays for itself in under 3/4 of a year. And finally, for insurers, it allows them to de-risk their operations in a similar fashion to home alarm systems do. This allows them to reduce their payouts because those that have been hospitalised or those that are likely to be at risk can have preventative measures put in place. As I mentioned, the COVID-19 environment has been very topical. We've actually made sales under the COVID-19 grants. The biggest factor here, I think, is, as I said at the outset, the adoption of technology has, I think, been increased by 2 to 5 years, but we're only at the cusp. Telehealth, very topical, but it's just a Zoom conversation or a Microsoft Teams conversation. It actually doesn't do anything in terms of improving the quality of care, except for those who are obviously in a remote environment and can't access normal services. Unless you couple it with an ongoing remote monitoring solution to ensure that the care that you've put in place is effective. Our revenue model is basically a software as a service system. So we have upfront hardware. It's reasonably high margin at the moment, but we have a lot of room to move. I don't intend to make significant revenue out of the hardware. It's like the mobile phone model. Our revenue stream comes from the ongoing subscription. So it's about $800 to $1,300 to equip a normal household, depending on the size of the house for the hardware, and $60 a month as an ongoing subscription fee. To give you an idea, if you have one of those pendants, I may typically charge around $800 for the pendant and then say $45 a month for the subscription, and we obviously do a lot more than that. So it's a recurring model. We don't have to replace our revenue each year with additional sales. Because we have a SaaS business model, we're likely to experience that kind of hockey stick growth you see in companies with our business model. Our distribution to market is threefold. Firstly, straight to the end user. So we have an e-commerce platform to go B2C. Our low-hanging fruit is B2B, so it's working through those care organisations initially, and that's where we've started, and we continue to see larger sales come from that area. The market itself for B2B, as I said, is about 1 million people in Australia, but the B2C model is about 3 to 4 times larger than that. To address both, we've also started to increase and ramp up our sales through distributors. And ultimately, in the long run, I think probably 80% of our sales will come from a distributor model, who either sell direct to businesses through care organisations or have a retail shop front and provide assisted living products direct to the end user. We're a member of Microsoft's Scale Up program. Very significantly, we're picked up as the only company of our kind amongst the 30 in Southeast Asia that were picked up for this program. We get a significant dollar value of Microsoft Azure credits, but most importantly, we're part of their co-sell program. So the Microsoft sales agents who sell to large enterprises, ASX 100 and Fortune 500 companies, are incentivised through commission paid by Microsoft to sell our product. The future roadmap, it's really moving from that connection through to detection to prevention. We are strapping on board a range of future sensors. There's a number that are out on the table out there at the moment, including eye health products, and also moving to Wi-Fi sensors, so they don't require a gateway hub to work. The key to unlocking those, ensuring they have power consumption at a low level. Improving our artificial intelligence and machine learning. We have PhD level people as part of our team who are looking at how our longitudinal data streams can get better at a human to identifying infection. So, for example, if you see a reduction in meals coupled with increased nighttime wandering, coupled with daytime reduced mobility, you might suppose that person has an infection of some sort. In hospitals, with fall patients, 40% of those presenting after a fall had an underlying infection. And finally, product services and integrations with aged care providers. So it's one thing for us to present our data to them through alerts and notifications. The nirvana is it folds into their work stream and their enterprise systems. The team itself, we have a very strong management team. My introduction spoke of my previous background as within ASX-listed company Spookfish. Greg Leach and Mike Tappenden as the co-founders. Greg's the chair and Mike's the CTO. Very much experienced, with over 40 years of experience in technology and exiting technology companies. Since the IPO, we've been very, very pleased with how it went. We went 2.5 times on opening during COVID, which was phenomenal. And we have a very strong cash balance of just over $3 million, which will see us with a long runway to ensure we can roll out our marketing strategy. So it's an AI company coupled with healthcare that's already commercialised. I think that speaks for itself. Thank you very much.